My name is Kelly Donovan. I was born October 6, 1961. My family life growing up was, well, I don't know if it was probably atypical. My father in 1964 went to Vietnam and came up missing in action, so I was basically raised without my dad. But I did have my grandfather there for that father figure, which helped mold me to the person I am. But it was hardworking, it was fun. Family was everything. My family, especially my mother, when she realized that this is that I could draw and paint and stuff like that at a very early age, was very supportive of that, to the detriment of my poor brothers and sisters who didn't have. If I needed art supplies, I got it. If they needed a toy, maybe they didn't get it so much. I did know that I liked Western art, and the reason I did was my grandmother kept everything I ever drew from the time I was, she said, 2 years old. And in those drawings, you can see pictures of cowboys. And so for whatever reason, ingrained in my mind is the Old West. And I love the Old West. I like the new stuff too, but to me, the real romance is the Old West, 1880s type thing. What helped me to realize that being an artist could be a real viable way to make a living was when I grew up in Colorado, and in Colorado every little town has their Founders Day art show, and those art shows all have a student division. So I started doing art shows when I was 9 or 10 years old, and I started winning awards when I was that young, and so that kind of power that comes from that and the support from my family helped me to know that this is what I could do.
It really breaks my heart to see a dear old friend.
Really, probably the mentors I had probably were my art teachers in high school, and then when I graduated from high school, I ended up going to Ricks College up in Idaho, and Leon Parson, who was the head of the art department up there, sort of took me under his wing and taught me the importance of the fundamentals of art. So probably a man named Dick Doherty, which was my high school art teacher, and Leon Parson, which was I called it art boot camp up there, because he stripped you down and he started you over and really helped me develop those fundamentals. My mentors, the reaction my mentors gave me to my artwork, especially in high school, was I wasn't allowed to use any kind of photo reference for my artwork. Everything had to come out of my head. Well, Leon Parson was a type of guy where, just for instance, he broke us down and we started right at the bottom level, like honestly boot camp. Was that he wanted me to put in the mileage I needed to be able to become a really good draftsman, which is, in this business, drawing is fundamental. I mean, if you can draw well, you can do anything, any medium. Being able to make a career out of art, I always had a gut feeling that I could do it. It's not an easy way to make a living. Any of the arts, it's not an easy way to make a living. I think the ones that end up making a living in art or dance or music or movies are the ones who stick it out and endure. But I always knew that somehow I would make a living at art. And at times I wanted to be an illustrator, times I wanted to be a police artist, sketch artist, a court artist. I can do all that stuff. I'm fast, and so I know I could do that. But my love was always Western art and it's called the fine art field or the gallery art field. And that's where, when I got my degree in illustration, I would either have to move to New York or LA to make a living as an illustrator. I couldn't see that happening with me. So at that point, I started pursuing my fine art career. I met my wife in 1985 after serving a mission for my church. One of my companions had got me a job down in Arizona, so I went down there and I met her down there. Even though she's from Hiram, her family had moved down there a few months before I came off my mission. And I met her at a youth dance or a young adult dance. Pretty boring, but you know what? Her reaction to my career, I just want to start off by saying that it was a whirlwind. We met, and 3 weeks later we were engaged, and 3 months after that we were married. And in all this time, in 30 years since then, she has never shown any worry, or it's not the right way to say it. She's never doubted my ability to make this thing happen. And I have to say that there are times, the arts, it's feast or famine, and it's way true. There are times when we didn't know, where our next, how we were going to get the bills paid, but somehow it always happened. I was able to, scrounge up this and that and make a living at it. But during all that, I was doing other things. Like I worked in construction. I drove a armored car. I ran a tree stump removal business, and I was in a tree business, and just everything that was hard physical work that I did to support my art habit, as I call it. But eventually I painted billboards for 10 years too. I eventually got to the point where my paintings were selling fast enough that I couldn't do both. I think my confidence came from doing these art shows as a youth and winning. I don't want it to come across as conceited or, whatever convoluted thing, but I won a lot of awards, and I still, as an adult, still do, and that gives you confidence. And then when somebody breaks out their checkbook and writes you a check for however much it is, that's also a confident booster. So just over my life and my career, I've just had that to help bring me along, and support from my family.
Wrapped your love around me like a chain, but I never